We are Nikolai Balehartz and Stacey Lee from ABC Radio Adelaide, and it is our great pleasure to be your hosts here this evening at this incredible venue, the Adelaide Convention Centre. It is an honour for us to be a part of this event because it really is a reminder of how good we can be when we're at our best.
Across this year of change and challenge, yet again, we've seen the Aussie spirit come to the fore. This year has provided an opportunity for Australians to show kindness, courage and generosity to those who need it most in this nation and across our global community.
Through natural disasters such as this year's devastating floods, which have impacted countless across the country, our nation's community leaders have inspired awe with their selfless acts. It's times like these when inspiration and hope is needed most, and tonight's nominees have inspired us all in different ways.
We are reminded that resilience is part of Australia's DNA, and the Australian of the Year Awards program is committed to showcasing everyday people that are making extraordinary impacts within our community. The 2023 Australian of the Year nominees are people who engender courage, kindness and resilience, and we look forward to celebrating all 16 stories with you tonight.
Whether you are here with us in the room or if you're watching online on ABC iView or at australianoftheyear.org.au, welcome. You're in for a wonderful celebration of incredible South Australians. We do encourage you to show your support on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram by using the hashtag #OzOfTheYear.
We would like to officially welcome His Excellency the Honourable Mark Livesey, the Governor's Deputy, the Honourable Peter Malinauskas, MP, the Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Nat Cook, MP, the Minister for Human Services, the Honourable Jing Lee, MLC, Leader of the Opposition in the Legislative Council, Senior Defence Force Representatives, Ms Isabel Marshall, 2021 Young Australian of the Year, Ms Danielle Roche, OAM, Chair of the National Australia Day Council, Mr Peter Sockis, Chair of the Australia Day Council of South Australia, Mrs Jan Chorley, the Chief Executive Officer of the Australia Day Council South Australia, and Ms Carly Brand, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Australia Day Council, Australia Day Council of South Australia board members, local government representatives, sponsors, tonight's nominees, former Australian of the Year alumni, and lastly, a special acknowledgement to the Government of South Australia for supporting these awards and tonight's event.
We would like to commence with a Welcome to Country by Annette Buckskin, Frank Wanganeen and Electric Fields, which will be immediately followed by a performance from Adelaide Global Collective featuring Julian Ferraretto and Katie Aspel.
Noitampan the Tuwila Burkiana. Noitampan the Bemba Balyarindi. Garna Yurtiana, Marta Chiunga, Garna Miuna. Wangdi, Mani Budni, Ghana Yurtiana. I like to recognise the ancestors. I recognise where we are in this event is on Ghana country. On behalf of the Ghana people, I welcome you to Ghana country. Warinthi Kamanka. Let's walk together. Nataya.
Here still here.
Wow. Thank you to Annette Buckskin and Frank Wanganeen in collaboration with Electric Fields for that profound welcome to country, and a special thank you too to Adelaide Global Collective for your wonderful performance, a really uplifting way to start the evening.
Yeah, it absolutely was. For more than 60 years now, unknown volunteers, pioneering advocates and your neighbour next door have been nominated for the Australian of the Year awards. These awards are community-led. They are for the people, nominated by the people and chosen by a diverse selection panel of representatives from right across South Australia. Anyone can nominate someone who inspires them, and the online nominations process is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to the public. The nominees you are about to meet are everyday South Australians who contribute to our state and our nation in extraordinary ways. In times when Australians are facing so many hardships, these are the people that are tireless in their advocacy and demonstrate what it means to be a great Australian.
Our nominees come from all walks of life and have their own personal stories about what motivates them. Their stories are inspiring, they're moving, they allow us to reflect, to respect and to celebrate our collective human experiences of joy, hope and triumph, because we're all part of this nation's story. There are 4 award categories that make up Australian of the Year awards: Australia's Local Hero, Young Australian of the Year, Senior Australian of the Year and Australian of the Year.
We have received thousands of nominations this year from right across the nation. From those nominations, tonight we celebrate 16 incredible people recognised for their outstanding achievements who represent the best of South Australia. It's no small feat. One recipient will be announced in each of the 4 categories tonight, and those 4 will then go on to join other state and territory recipients at the National Awards on the eve of Australia Day. This announcement is made by the Prime Minister and is broadcasted live on ABC TV and ABC iView.
Now, whatever the outcome this evening, all our nominees richly deserve to be here. We congratulate them for their dedication, their perseverance and their invaluable contribution to our country. So let's all give them a round of applause.
It now gives us great pleasure to invite to the stage the Chief Executive Officer of the Australia Day Council of South Australia, Mrs. Jan Chorley, to say a few words. Please give Jan a warm welcome.
Thank you so much. I should have left the high heels at home, I think, coming up those stairs. As we gather today, I too acknowledge that we meet on the land of the Kaurna people. We may tread gently on this great land, knowing we have much to learn from our history, our past and present, and our Aboriginal and Torres Strait elders and emerging leaders. May we always seek to extend that respect to their descendants, here tonight and elsewhere. Good evening to everyone, and a particular welcome to each and every one of you, and of course our very distinguished guest, His Excellency the Honourable Mark Livesey, the Governor's Deputy, the Honourable Peter Malinauskas, our Premier, the Honourable Jing Lee, who's representing the Leader of the Opposition, Daniel Roach, OAM, the Chair of the National Australia Day Council of Australia, our previous Australian of the Year recipients, our Australian of the Year ambassadors and alumni family, and welcome to each and every one of you. I welcome you also on behalf of the Australia Day Council of South Australia to the presentation evening for the 2023 Australian of the Year Awards. As we've heard, these awards celebrate Australians who have made a difference to our country and reflect the very best of our nation. Each year, as you know, Australians nominate people who they believe are worthy of the country's attention. It's like a licence. It's, if you like, an invitation to keep driving a positive cause or a contribution forward at the local and national level. It's not only, as we know, the blazing leaders who stand up with their fire and passion for change, some of them certainly, but it's Australians who choose skillful, determined achievers and community members who lead by example and encourage others and who gather positive community force with their unique, sometimes subtle leadership and courage. They make up, as we know, the fabric of our social democratic society here and make a difference locally, nationally and globally. They may not look for recognition, but we do recognise them in our awards system, and that's why tonight is so important. Every one of you, I am wondering, and most people we talk to are expressing some levels of anxiety or feeling overwhelmed, caused by the layers of global, national, local and normal family challenges that we all face together. Our recent floods, our climate change, Putin's terrible attack on the Ukraine, the deep divide between autocracy and democracy, energy prices, cost of living and supply chain pressures affecting our homes and businesses. It's all there. It's our world right now, isn't it? Against this shared, challenging backdrop, many South Australians this year, including some in the room, tonight have gone far beyond to support South Australians in our communities. Others have spent years working or volunteering for causes they are committed to drive widespread changes and improve outcomes for all of us. You may know that the National Australian of the Year Awards program has been operating since 1960. And when we look back, we can see how so many of the Australian of the Year recipients have led change in critical matters that are important to all of us. If we reflect just for a moment on our very own South Australians, including, of course, the wonderful Dr. Richard Harris, SCOAM, anaesthetist and cave diver, who will ever forget how he risked his life in the cave rescue for the trapped soccer boys and their coach in 2018. Of course, our very own again, Dr. James Mukey, the real passion that he has brought to challenging the perception and relationship with sugar, but also addressing and mitigating type 2 diabetes. Professor Helen Marshall AM, who saved the lives of many through halting the meningococcal B disease internationally and nationally, and the rollout here, particularly in South Australia. 2021 Australian of the Year Isabel Marshall, who at the age of 18 co-founded Taboo with school friend Eloise Hall to help women around the world by addressing the important issue of period poverty and providing greater access to hygiene products. 2022 has been no different, with the Young Australian of the Year, Dr. Trudy Lynn, who has been committed to building a more inclusive society when every person can eat, speak and smile freely and live life to their full potential. And there are a few more too. Our South Australian Senior of the Year this year, Mark Lemessurier, advocates for tough kids, the kids for all of us who we know, for many reasons, do life tougher than most. Mark has taught us to use terms like neuro-inclusivity. In fact, I understand he's advocating for an assistant minister for neuro-inclusivity rather than autism, focusing on diversity, equity and access. 2022 also saw the South Australia's local hero, Monique Berham, who is a voice for those individuals affected by lymphedema and advocates nationally and has achieved so much in the advocacy that she has been so passionate about. So the Australian of the Year Awards gave each of these South Australians a platform to draw our attention to these important issues that impact us all as a nation, and this work continues. Thanks to the Australia Day Council of South Australia, our sponsors, our corporate partners, our funding partners and members, You enable us to enlarge our intent to help us to build stronger and inclusive societies, particularly throughout the year beyond the awards themselves, and we do thank you. And I'd also like to acknowledge the Department of Premier and Cabinet, the City of Adelaide, the National Australia Aid Council for their incredible partnerships that mean so much to us. And local government, I just would like to put a plug in here too. 130 councils across the state acknowledge Australia Day and bring communities together in a very cohesive way. But what they do in particular is welcome new citizens to help create that sense of belonging in communities, which is so important to all of us. To our chair, board members and our team members who work so hard on behalf of the Australia Day Council of South Australia, your work, your efficiency, the collaborative leadership that you offer and the very high standards that you set, we say thank you. Now, importantly, finally, to the nominees that we're all here to meet and understand more fully the importance of their work. Congratulations on becoming a finalist in the Australia of the Year Awards. This is one of the nation's most recognised and esteemed awards, and you can be very proud of your achievements and to be named here tonight. As we've heard, thousands of nominations from across the country have been received this year. You have progressed to the final stages, and we celebrate each of you and what you bring in making our state and nation a better place. It is the actions of each of you and each of you as nominees, together with our past alumni, that call us to action, to do more, to listen more, and to be more humble, and importantly, a roadmap for active citizenship in our communities. We wish you all a very wonderful night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. We would now like to invite His Excellency, the Honourable Mark Livesey, the Governor's Deputy, to share some words and also to remain on stage with us to present the first two awards for the evening. Please welcome His Excellency.
I too wish to acknowledge the Kaurna people as the traditional custodians of the land on which we're gathering tonight, and to pay my respects to their elders. I too wish to acknowledge the Honourable Peter Malinauskas, Premier of South Australia, the Honourable Nat Cook, Minister for Human Services, the Honourable Jin Lee, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Ms Dana Wortley, Member for Torrens, Ms Danielle Roche, Chair of the National Australia Day Council, Mr Peter Sokas, Chair, Australia Day Council South Australia, Defence Force representatives, members of the Consular Corps, Australia Day ambassadors, members and supporters, tonight's award nominees, distinguished guests. I am delighted to be here tonight as the Governor's Deputy to honour the outstanding South Australians who have been nominated for the Australian of the Year Awards. Her Excellency is currently undertaking an engagement overseas, and she extends her very best wishes to you all. Tonight, we honour those South Australians who inspire us, who recognise a need and dedicate themselves to effecting change. Their work is often unheralded, but it is nonetheless an integral part of what makes us a caring, compassionate and inclusive society. As Jan Chorley has outlined in the cameos of past awardees, the work of these extraordinary people enables us to rise to a challenge, to right a wrong, to advocate change or find ways of improving our nation. Importantly, they make us all very proud. When we reflect on where we are today as a nation, how we've been shaped by more than 60,000 years of the world's oldest continuing culture, traversing European colonial settlement, post-war migration, and rethinking our place in the Asia-Pacific region, throughout, our people have been at the heart of our changing aspirations. I congratulate all the nominees and thank them for their dedication and their community spirit. Tonight, we honour those who are contributing in a range of ways to the environment, to animal welfare, to Aboriginal, migrant, aged and youth advancement, to workplace safety, sport and advocacy. Each contributes to the fabric of our society and strengthens who we are and what we want to be. These are ordinary South Australians doing extraordinary things. They volunteer, they educate, they advocate, they inspire. I thank the Australia Day Council for their stewardship of these prestigious awards and the opportunities they give to recognise and honour the nominees. Their stories encourage us all to look within ourselves, our own contributions and the progress of our nation. Through these awards, we can recognise and thank these remarkable Australians who inspire and set the bar for our own aspirations. Be proud of what you do, because we are proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those inspiring words. Well, everyone, the time has arrived. Our first 2023 Australian of the Year award for South Australia is the category of Local Hero, which recognises Australians making a significant contribution to their local community. At January's national event, we'll be celebrating 20 years of the Local Hero Award, which has been supported by the Department of Home Affairs since its inception. To all of our local heroes present tonight or watching online, we want to say a massive thank you for your contribution to your community and to our state. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen.
And the nominees for South Australia's 2023 Local Hero are...
When Neil Davis lost his son Sam in a one-punch attack at 17, he and Sam's mum decided their loss would not be for nothing. The Sammy D Foundation mentors at-risk individuals and provides anti-violence programs to schools, sports clubs and the juvenile justice system. Neil has reached more than 180,000 people with his message that violence is never the answer. When pain from his cancer became unbearable, Elizabeth Haberman supported her son Reese to end his life in 2017. At the time, it was illegal and she was investigated by police. Elizabeth didn't want others to experience the same grief and pain, so she spoke to politicians and to the media to advocate for the legalisation of voluntary assisted dying. In 2021, South Australia changed its law. Christine Robertson didn't start out intending to microchip more than 65,000 pets across Australia. But after co-founding Lost Pets of South Australia in 2013, she soon realised many pets were being lost because people couldn't afford to microchip them. So in 2015, she set up Chip Blitz, a program run entirely by volunteers in which trained implanters microchip pets for just $10. As a migrant to Australia, Marigold White knows being away from the emotional and practical support of family is difficult. That's why she co-founded Unity, an empathy-driven not-for-profit, helping to connect people of all ages for friendship. Participants say Unity helps them find a sense of belonging and purpose. They also gain friends who care for and support them as family.
Incredible. We are very lucky to have each of you making a profound difference in our community. So very selfless and inspirational. So can we please ask the 4 nominees to stand, and can we all give them a well-deserved round of applause? Now, we do have with us tonight South Australia's 2022 local hero, Monique Barham. Can I please invite Monique to join us up on stage? Hi, Monique.
Hi.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. Before we ask you to announce our first recipient, can I ask you what life has been like since you were awarded South Australia's 2022 Local Hero?
Well, it was certainly a different year than I had anticipated. It was a complete surprise when I was announced 2022 Local Hero. In fact, I remember Ali Clark saying to me that she wished she had a camera to capture the moment that my jaw literally dropped to the floor when my name was announced. But what it did do was firstly, it has given me the enormous privilege of joining with and being inspired by our 2022 Young, Senior and Australians of the Year, and that alone would have been amazing enough, except that's just not all it has done. It has, I already had quite an ambitious agenda for patients with lymphedema or individuals affected by lymphedema, not only in South Australia, but right across the nation. What this award has done has enabled me to reach further and to work faster in my goals, which are twofold. One, to have equitable, accessible, sustainable access for every individual with lymphedema right across the country. And two, for lymphedema, individuals affected by lymphedema, to be included in our health system, because the lymphedema community does deserve to be counted as well. Yes, thank you. There's been a few milestones, a lot of behind-the-scenes work and some forward-facing work as well, but just three very key things that I'd like to share that I've been able to achieve because of this award. One, I'm contributing to the very first scoping report by the Australian Institute of Health and Wellbeing into prevalence of lymphedema right across the country. Two, I'm working with all levels of government to develop models of care so that every individual with lymphedema, no matter where they live, no matter what their background, can get the access to the care and the garments that they so vitally need. And the third thing I just want to point out was an immediate and unexpected win that I just happened to have in around May, June this year, when I suddenly became aware of a terrible drop to or slashing of the Victorian compression garment subsidy scheme that was about to happen as from the 1st of July without any real warning. And had that gone ahead, thousands of individuals in Victoria would have been left where many South Australians had struggled for and I'd advocated for over a decade to get them out of, and I could not bear to see that happening in any other place, because I know what it's like. So I stepped in, and my advocacy directly contributed to a very swift pause to that reduction. And so that actually is something that's very dear to my heart.
Well, I think on behalf of everyone I can safely say thank you. It is amazing to hear from you, and now I'd like to ask you to do the honours of telling us who is South Australia's 2023 Local Hero.
Okay, I'd just like to quickly say, while I have this envelope in front of me and I'm making sure I am opening the right one, that I did write this down because I wanted to be quite clear. It is time for me to pass the baton on. I want to thank the 4 finalists that are here tonight for everything that they do in their chosen area, because I believe and I know that you are doing amazing things, and you are already local heroes. I hope that the person in this envelope will take it and run with it and make it theirs, and I wish them all the very best for the year ahead, because it's going to be a big one. And the winner of the 2023 Local Hero is Christine Robertson.
Christine,
Hi.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How do you feel knowing that someone has put you forward for the Local Hero Award?
Oh, absolutely amazing. I still have no idea who it was. But yeah, really amazing, and I'm very proud.
You're going to have to find out who it was, I think.
I am going to have to interrogate a few people, yes, definitely.
What inspired you to do this work in your community?
Oh, look, as part of Lost Pets of SA, we're at the coalface of what happens with when animals going missing, and I can tell you that the pain and panic from a family when a pet goes missing is unbelievable. And 61% of households in Australia actually have a pet. And a recent study in 2019 said that 60% of dog and cat owners actually think they're family. So, imagine a family member going missing. So we knew that we had to do something about it. And so that's why we started Lost Pets of SA and continued doing it. And last night was a great example of why we do what we do. When the storms came, 2 o'clock in the morning, we were up and helping animals get home.
You've been up early.
Yeah, it's been a long day so far.
Hopefully it's worth the late night.
Absolutely, it definitely was.
So how do you think this award is going to impact the delivery of the work that you do?
Oh, it's going to make a huge difference. One of my missions in life is to make sure that the basics and fundamentals of pet ownership for families that have pets and people who think that pets are families is to make sure the fundamentals are affordable. When I talked about the number of households in Australia that have pets, 35% of them are in households that have an income of less than $50,000 for the household, and that's currently less than the 2022 poverty line for a household of 2 adults and 2 children. So at the end of the day, my mission is to make sure that basic things like microchipping and desexing are affordable, and we're about to hopefully launch a new desexing program called Neuteronomy, and this is going to really help us. Yeah, thank you. This is going to really help us launch that and make it work.
And is that where you would like to see the biggest change? Where's the biggest change you think is needed?
In attitude towards pets and pets being family. At the end of the day, if someone's got to make a law that say microchipping is mandatory and desexing is mandatory, then they also need to make it affordable. They can't just change the law and expect it to happen. And what happens at the moment is people expect vets to lower their prices, and we shouldn't be doing that. They're fabulous. They keep our animals alive. We need to do it another way, and that's what I'm here for.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
Well, now let's move on to the Young Australian of the Year category, which is supported by the Department of Education. This award recognises inspiring young Australians aged between 16 and 30 years of age who have accomplished great things already and are making a positive difference.
The nominees for the 2023 Young Australian of the Year are
Adelaide United professional footballer Josh Cavallo made history in 2021 when he announced he was gay in a social media video. He was the first male top-grade soccer player in the world to do so while still playing football. Josh's decision inspired other top league footballers to come out, and his leadership was recognised with an honorary doctorate from Flinders University. Felicity Graham spent 9 years of her childhood in the foster care system. At 17, she published an autobiography, Not Held Down, to give a voice to foster children who feel forgotten. Felicity advocates for foster children in child protection through her organisation Fostering Change Australia, and emphasises the need for more training and support for foster carers. Zainab Kazemi remembers having her head shaved as a child in Afghanistan, so she could be disguised as a boy just to go to the shops. Now 23, Zainab helps newly arrived Afghans feel at home as she does in Adelaide. Despite studying and working 2 jobs, Zainab still finds the time to volunteer, advocate and fundraise for her community. You might know Sudanese-born Awer Mabil as winger for the Socceroos. He came to Australia at 10 years of age after spending most of his childhood in a Kenyan refugee camp. You might not know that Awer is a passionate advocate for mental health awareness and co-founded Barefoot to Boots, a not-for-profit working towards better health, education, policies and gender equality for refugees.
Well, I think we can all agree that the future of our country is looking very bright with these fantastic young people. Can we ask nominees to stand so we can acknowledge your work with a huge round of applause? We'd like now to invite South Australia's 2022 Young Australian of the Year, Dr Trudy Lynn, to join us on stage. Good to see you, and a huge congratulations, Trudy. We can't wait to see what the future holds for you. Can you tell us about, in a nutshell, about your journey as South Australia's 2022 Young Australian of the Year?
In a nutshell, well, when I reflect upon the year, what I found was I thought of how all of us have these moments which kind of divide our lives into two parts, like before this and after this. But there are certain defining moments that afterwards our lives are never the same again. And the amazing thing about this year was that this year was bigger than just a defining moment for my life. It was a defining moment for special needs dentistry, for oral health care, for my patients who are living with a disability, for their families. The award provided a platform for me to be able to advocate and bring visibility to inequalities. And this created a shared defining moment where things will never be the same for all of those people and the values that I represent. This includes people from my industry and disability advocates, but also for young female leaders, for Australians with an Asian background, and for people who share the value of inclusion and are also on the same mission of building a society where every person has a fair go and equal opportunity, the value that makes me most proud to be Australian. After this year, things will never be the same for all of those people, and that is the impact of these awards. I believe that these awards are not just for recognising individuals. The awards recognise all the different people and the values that those individuals represent. And so, to the end of this year and beyond, as a representative for the Australians who identify with me and my cause, I will continue to advocate for an inclusive society where every person can have equal access to oral health care and live to their full potential. And so my message to the 2023 South Australians of the Year is that you are now about to create defining moments for the Australians and the values that you represent. So with your platform, make the biggest impact that you can. Be brave, be bold, and be heard.
So an exciting future for you ahead and an exciting future for many others. Trudy, can you please tell us who is our 2023 Young Australian of the Year?
Before I announce it, I would like to echo the same sentiment that Monique did. All of you, the Young Australians of the Year that have been nominated, you are already making such a big impact, and thank you for being living examples of how age is not a limiting factor for the amount of contribution you can have. The 2023 Young Australian of the Year for South Australia is Awer Mabil.
Work work just doesn't stop all the time, and that is exactly why Awia Mabil is unable to be here with us tonight. He was asked to prepare a video if he was to be named the recipient. Let's see what he prepared for us. Please turn your eyes to the screen.
Hello guys, it's Awia Mabil here. Just want to say hello to everybody. Hope everybody's having a great night. I was asked to do a video just in case I was one of the recipients. For me, it's a big honor to be nominated, and I'm sure everybody there, you should all be proud for this amazing moment in our lives. And I'm happy that my family is there also, my beautiful mother and my uncle, on my behalf. Unfortunately, I can't be there because I have one of the biggest games of my career. We're playing against Real Madrid, so hopefully we'll win. But yeah, I just want to say thank you and how grateful I am to be nominated for this amazing award. And I hope everybody have a great night. And I'm really, really proud and honored to be representing Australia here in Spain. So I'll be carrying our flag everywhere we go, or everywhere I go. And I'm always proud Aussie right here. So I'll keep pushing for my dreams to help that next generation, you know, follow the same footsteps and even take it higher. So that's my motivation, to help that next generation and inspire them. So have a great night. Bye-bye.
A huge congratulations to Awa and his family. Thank you for being here tonight. You must be immensely proud of Awa and what he's managed to achieve and the contributions that he makes to our state. So thank you very much for being here tonight.
And can we please also have a round of applause for His Excellency, the Honourable Mark Livesey, the Governor's Deputy, for his generous support in presenting the first two awards this evening.
We would now like to invite the Honourable Peter Malinauskas MP, the Premier of South Australia, to the stage to say a few words, and then ask him to remain on stage with us to present the final two awards. So please welcome the Premier of South Australia, Peter Malinauskas.
Well, thank you, Stacey. Thank you, Nikolai, for your warm welcome. I would like to start by acknowledging the fact that we are on the lands of the Kaurna people. This award has had a great tradition in our nation now for some time, but of course that tradition pales into complete insignificance in comparison to the 60,000 plus years of tradition that our traditional owners have had their connection to this amazing land that we're lucky enough to share with them. So I'd like to pay my respect to them. To the Governor's Deputy, His Excellency, the Honourable Mark Livesey and Katie Livesey. To the Honourable Nat Cook, the Minister for Human Services. To the Honourable Jing Lee, representing the Leader of the Opposition here tonight. To representatives of the Australian Defence Force. To Mr Peter Sokas, the Chair of the Australia Day Council. And of course, I'd like to acknowledge Jan Chorley and all of her extraordinary work at the Australia Day Council. One of the things that I wholeheartedly enjoy about the opportunity to be a member of the Parliament is that you get to meet a lot of people. It's not always good, but overwhelmingly you get the opportunity to be able to experience the extraordinary diversity of our state in its richest form through our people. And it never ceases to amaze me how much good exists in our community. And when I say good, I don't say that loosely. I'm talking about really good people who are defined by what they do, not for themselves, but what they do for others. In so many ways, work is a defining characteristic of our identity. That has always been true and it always will be. But when we think about work, we often, and we think about service to the community, words that you often get heard floated around, often by politicians, is that it is a privilege to serve. And it's worth just reflecting on that for a moment. What does it actually mean when we say it's a privilege to serve? It'll mean different things for different people, but for mine, I think it's a function of this truth. All work provides dignity. It doesn't matter really what you do. It doesn't matter if you're cleaning a hospital or performing brain surgery within it. It doesn't matter if you're flying the plane or if you're serving drinks down the back. It doesn't matter if you own the shopping centre or if you're the checkout operator in the shopping centre. All work provides dignity. But if we're honest about it, it's also true that not all work is necessarily fulfilling as others. There are some people who enjoy their work every single day of the week, and there are others who don't necessarily get the same degree of satisfaction. But for people who make the active decision to serve others, they're always happy. Every time I meet someone whose job is to serve others in some format or another, paid or unpaid, they're the happiest people I meet. Almost universally, that is true, regardless of the form of that service. So the ability to be able to go home after engaging in an act of service and be able to say to a loved one or a friend that, you know, I actually think I might have helped someone out today, and that sense of fulfilment that one has in that moment, that's the privilege. The privilege to be able to have a sense of fulfilment and self-worth through giving something to others. And when we hear the stories of the Young Australians of the Year and the local community heroes, you can't help but get that sense coming through. So for all of you who are recipients or nominees of awards tonight, you are the very embodiment of that idea and that notion of service, that idea of giving to others more than you concern for yourself. And the best thing about that, it is that it is the greatest characteristic of what we think and define as being Australian. All of the greatest moments in our history as a nation have pretty much boiled down to an act of service or courage in the name of others. So that's what we celebrate tonight. That is what would like to offer my congratulations to you for. But more than that, I think that's what the fellow members of the communities that you care about so much applaud you for, acknowledge you for, and celebrate tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Premier, for those thoughtful and inspiring words. Well, we now move on to our next category. Category partner, the Department of Health and Aged Care presents our next award, Senior Australian of the Year. This award celebrates the ongoing achievements of our passionate and committed Australians over the age of 65 who inspire change and ignite discussion on issues that are of national importance.
The nominees for South Australia's 2023 Senior Australian of the Year are
Margaret Fisher AM was writing and acting from a young age. Not surprisingly, she's gone on to devote her life to the arts. She co-founded the Feast Adelaide Queer Arts and Cultural Festival in 1997. Margaret also set up Feast Queer Youth Drop-In, a safe social space for LGBTQIA+ young people, and delivers mental health workshops for Adelaide's queer community. Sandy Miller is a proud Wirangu woman and a trailblazer in the public sector. She broke down barriers for Aboriginal women aspiring to leadership roles at a time when they were underrepresented. As a social worker in the 1980s, Sandy helped change policies detrimental to Aboriginal children. She's still an important voice for her community's health and legal rights. Eric Siggers worked for 47 years with an engineering company, but he soon grew tired of doing nothing after retiring in 2005. So, at 70, he started volunteering with Technology for Ageing and Disability SA. Eric has since spent more than 12 years beavering away in his shed, inventing and building equipment to help people with disabilities be more independent. When Eugenia Tsoulas was in primary school, she'd act as a translator once a week, helping bus conductors transport Greek men to potential employers around Adelaide. She's been helping migrants and refugees in Australia ever since, leading the Australian Migrant Resource Centre for 25 years and working with the Settlement Council of Australia. She's now touched thousands of lives.
If we can please ask our nominees to stand, and can we all give them a well-deserved round of applause. Thank you. Now we'd like to invite the 2022 Senior South Australian of the Year, Lark Lemessurier, to the stage. Before we announce South Australia's 2023 recipient, thank you. Mark, can I ask you, what have you continued to achieve since receiving the award last year?
I've really continued to do exactly the same that I did every year before. But it's just given me so much more hope. And I have prepared something because there are some very special people that I want to touch on tonight, because the platform has been for them. So I've learnt that firstly that being the Senior South Australian is a wicked platform for well-seasoned people to contribute. And it's a wicked way to defeat ageist attitudes. I'm also learning that it takes a different style of courage to live old and continue to be bold. My work is with young people who often feel they're not enough, they're broken, or they have no hope. And what unfolds is that they are perfect just as they are, but live life to a distinctly different human rhythm. And therein lies the real quest for all of us, really, the search for personal identity. The platform has delivered hope to parents of these young people too. They often feel overlooked, judged poorly by others who don't understand neurodiversity and neuroinclusivity. We're all grateful for the voice the platform has offered. And just yesterday I met with the Assistant Minister for Autism, Emily Burke. She has a full heart and she's driven to improve the well-being of those with autism. She wants to understand the barriers that they face in schools, in the community, in gaining employment. They face too many barriers, and these barriers invite mental health difficulties. Emily wants your stories, the good, the bad, the ugly, so she can truly understand the dilemmas this large and rapidly growing group face. This is where our work lies if we are to call ourselves a compassionate and neuro-inclusive community. We are witnessing a world first here in SA. Oh, we also discussed saving the Mercury Theatre. Because it does much more than show films. It bonds so many neurodiverse people through its unique structures, connections and initiatives. So from now on, when you think of the Mercury Cinema, think of it as a catalyst for good mental health for many. Thanks to the SA Australia Day Council, yes, especially you, Jan Chorley, we love you, for your enthusiasm, your leadership, your wit, your humour. And thanks to the 2022 2022 South Australians of the Year recipients, Helen, Trudy, Monique. You are state treasures. And your quality is combined to protect and raise the hopes and spirits of many. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. You're also a state treasure. And it's clear that you really are changing the lives of young people here in South Australia and across the nation. So thank you. And now you get to do the exciting part, and you get to announce the 2023 recipient. So Mark, can you please tell us who is South Australia's 2023 Senior Australian of the Year?
I certainly will, and I will just reinforce the message. All 4 nominees, you are awesome. The 2023 Senior Australian of the Year for South Australia is Sandra Miller.
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sandra, can you start by telling us what encouraged you to be so dedicated in providing your service to your community?
Well, just being an Aboriginal person who is witnessing the hardship of my people, there was no way I could walk away from that, and never will, actually.
What do you think some of the outcomes have been of your work?
One of the big achievements was that I was involved in writing the Aboriginal Child Placement Principle, working with the then CEO, Sue Varden, who then took it to the National Forum, and it became a national policy. I mean, there's been a number of things I've done. I don't know where to start.
I'm sure. I'm not sure we have time to go through them all, unfortunately.
And I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to go and sit down.
We'd love to. We'll let you go and sit down in just a minute. A couple more questions.
Okay.
Because the senior category is so special because you do bring a lifetime of wisdom and experience to your work. What would you say has been the greatest change that's happened because of your work so far?
I don't know which one to choose. Look, one of the things that I put a lot of effort in and achieved was aged care services across the whole state for Aboriginal elders. When I first picked up this particular portfolio, there was only 2 services, one in Port Augusta and one on the APY lands. And now we've got aged care services right across the major Aboriginal communities in the state.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was one of the things.
And what does receiving the award mean to you?
I'd like to know who nominated me for a start. Look, I think it'll encourage, I think, others to stand up and accept that the work that they do is really important in the community.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
South Australia's 2023 Senior Australian of the Year, Sandra Miller.
Well, our final category this evening is the Australian of the Year Award, proudly supported by Australia Post, which is at the heart of Australian communities, connecting them with each other and the world. The Australian of the Year Award celebrates the achievement and contributions of exceptional Australians.
The nominees for South Australia's 2023 Australian of the Year are
Documentary maker Taryn Brumford has been turning health information into content that inspires people to love their bodies for a decade. Millions have watched Embrace, her 2016 documentary about women loathing their bodies and her own path to body acceptance. Now she's addressing body positivity in children with a documentary called Embrace Kids and a companion book for parents. Professor Christopher Daniels has made an extraordinary contribution to citizen science in Australia. The former university academic and now government scientist explores citizen science through his ABC radio program and promotes wildlife conservation through the arts. Now chair of the Koala Life Research Foundation and Green Adelaide Landscape Board, he's leading several efforts to rewild the city and connect citizens with nature. Andrea Madeley's son Daniel was just 18 when he died in a workplace accident in 2004. It changed her life forever. Andrea became a tenacious advocate for others in dangerous workplaces, studied law, and is now a personal injury lawyer. She also developed South Australia's International Workers' Memorial Day service, which remembers those who lost their lives at work. After seeing how ice hockey helped her dyslexic daughter, Marie Shaw wondered if it could also help the young people she saw regularly in her job as a criminal barrister. She helped set up Ice Factor at Thebarton Ice Arena in 2005. Thousands of disadvantaged youths have now taken part in the program, learning team values, building self-esteem and hope.
Can we please ask the four nominees to stand, and we'll give them one more round of applause.
Well, we'd like to invite Professor Helen Marshall AM, the 2022 South Australian of the Year, to the stage to share with us her experience as South Australian of the Year. Tell us about your experience.
Wow, what a year. What a fantastic year it's been. I mean, what a remarkable other South Australians of the Year we've had this year. And, we've really gone on incredibly well. We really, I think, inspire each other. And I think we'll all be really lifelong friends, which is not something I was expecting, certainly at the beginning of the year. So there's that, but there's also the amazing platform this has been for immunisation. You know, when you're a specialist in immunisation, especially the last few years, you can be a little bit busy. So there's been that, but there's also been fantastic opportunities to get out and meet with community, with people that I wouldn't normally have the opportunity to meet with, from school children out in rural South Australia to providing advice to international immunisation advisory groups. It's been, just such a rewarding experience and a fabulous platform. And my area is really around meningococcal disease and being able to advocate for protection for children against all the strains that cause meningococcal disease. And I'm so proud that here in South Australia We're the only place in the world that provides coverage against all the strains for both infants and adolescents. And I've been saying that as I've been going around and giving talks, but that all changed last week when I heard that New Zealand and the Czech Republic are taking South Australia's lead and going to be providing meningococcal B vaccine for children to protect them from death and disability from that horrendous disease. So that's such a great capping off of the year to see that we'll see protection for children around the world from meningococcal disease, and South Australia's really been a leader there. But there's still work to do. Having equitable access to vaccines is still a concern. We need to make sure that we get vaccines to everybody, all children in the community, and we know from the research that we're doing that Aboriginal young people are less likely to receive the meningococcal B vaccine. So we need to do more about that. I've also been advocating in the Northern Territory. Aboriginal young people are at much higher risk of meningococcal disease, so I've been meeting with the Health Minister, now the Chief Administrator up there, around the potential for a meningococcal B program. And when we had the change, of course, in government, I had early discussions with the new Health Minister just to ensure that the meningococcal B vaccine program would continue. So it was great to get that reassurance. So, yeah, fabulous year. Thank you.
It's been a big year of change. And thank you for putting our community wellbeing first. You do us all very proud. And the time has come. Helen, we invite you to do the big announcement. Who is South Australia's 2023 Australian of the Year?
Well, I'm very excited to say that the 2023 Australian of the Year for South Australia is Taryn Brumfitt.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, I'm glad I embraced my body because the photographer took a photo and I was like, I look like that. It's such an honour, and I want to thank the other nominees. I was in such a strong category, and just to be nominated, I felt so incredibly privileged, so thank you.
Taryn, can you tell us... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go on.
Can you tell us what was your motivation to do the important work that you do?
Yeah, I mean, my story went that I hated my body. I learned to love it, and it felt like winning the golden ticket. And I received over 7,000 emails and messages from people all over the world who were sharing their stories of how they felt about their body. So I knew I wanted to do something about that. So I thought, I'll write a book, and then I made a film, and then I wrote another book and another book and another film. And this issue that we're facing globally of people hating their bodies, for the past 10 years I've been talking about body image, and this is why I'm incredibly delighted to receive this award, because it feels like for such a long time it's been #LoveYourBody, but only now people are understanding that when we do embrace our bodies, when we do love our bodies, the outcomes of that are so positive for us as individuals, but the wider community as well. Sadly, 70% of Australian school children consider body image to be their #1 concern. And it's really sad because we weren't born into the world hating our bodies. It's something the world has taught us. And we know that kids and adolescents who appreciate their bodies and have a higher appreciation of their bodies and their body image are less likely to smoke, are less likely to drink. We've got to get this right for our kids. We've got to help them to move, nourish, respect and enjoy their bodies. It's a really important subject.
Where? Yeah. where do you think you've seen the biggest impact of your work?
Well, I've spent all of this week in primary schools reading my book to young kids, and that feels just as impactful as reaching 200 million people globally. Or when Ashton Kutcher said, "This is good for the world," I was like, Ashton Kutcher, this is good for the world. But those kids in school, when they describe their bodies today as strong and energetic and powerful, and the love that these young kids felt for their bodies, it gave me so much hope that instead of fixing problems as they get older into their teens and into their adult years, we can get in nice and early and let them live their lives with the freedom that comes from embracing your body.
Absolutely. Now, Taran, as we've seen here tonight, the Australian of the Year Awards give, I think, a much needed and welcome platform to those who do win this award, and we've heard some beautiful stories of the impact that it's had over the years. What would you like to see as the next step for you and your work?
Well, we've just made the Embrace Kids documentary, released in cinemas a few months ago, and it was always our commitment to give that film to schools as a free resource. So for 2023 and beyond, it's our mission to reach 1 million school children in the next 3 years. I've already asked for a meeting with the Premier. I did that as my first port of call while holding that award. But I think now that we take this subject as being something serious, we can really help our kids to enjoy their bodies. So there's a lot of work to begin, but it begins in schools, it begins nice and early, and I think it begins with each and every one of us in this room tonight being role models for our kids because they're really suffering. Let's turn around that 70% of Australian school children who don't like their bodies into a number that doesn't even exist. Let's get this right for our kids.
Premier, I assume you're taking the meeting? Yes.
He said yes.
And you do have the stage. What's the key message? What's the key message to the nation?
We have 28,000 days on the planet if we're really lucky, and we're not meant to spend those days at war with our bodies. We're meant to move them and nourish them and respect them and enjoy them. So let's be role models for our kids and go out and embrace and enjoy our bodies.
Beautifully said. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2023 South Australian of the Year, Taran Brumfitt. A sincere congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, for one final time, can we please ask our 2023 recipients with us tonight to stand so we can show our appreciation for all that you do for our state and nation. A heartfelt congratulations on being named our 2023 recipients, Christine Robertson, Awia Marble, Sandra Miller and Taran Brumfitt.
Wow. Our live stream viewers have left us, I think, now, but we just want to say how amazing the energy is in the room. To all the nominees who were recognised at tonight's awards, a heartfelt congratulations to all of you. Someone in your community has recognised your outstanding contributions and wanted to thank you for the impact that you have made and I'm sure will continue to make. We do hope that this really has motivated everyone watching and listening to get involved and nominate someone who inspires you. To do that, you can go to australianoftheyear.org.au and follow the nominate button.
Now, none of this would be possible without the national partners. We'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the generous organisations who make this awards program possible. Firstly, with some brief messages from National Diversity and Inclusion Partner and Category Partners.
Ingenuity,
creativity, and innovation.
Passion,
purpose, and the pursuit of excellence.
inclusion,
and the idea of a fair go.
At Chevron, we believe in human energy.
That's why we support the Australian of the Year Awards.
as the National Diversity and Inclusion Partner, celebrating the achievement
of outstanding Aussies and from every walk of life.
Because we're all part of the story.
For over 200 years, Australia Post has been at the heart of Australian communities, connecting them to each other and the world. We're thrilled to recognise the incredible Australian of the Year award recipients who make such a profound contribution to their communities and to our nation. We're proud to support the Australian of the Year award and join you in celebrating these inspiring Australians.
Senior Australian of the Year Award recognises and celebrates the incredible achievements of older Australians around the country. As the Minister for Aged Care, I want to congratulate all of you on being nominated. Ageing well means staying healthy and connecting with community. Improving the lives of others shows your continued passion and commitment to living well. I wish you all the best in the finals, but importantly, I want to acknowledge that every one of you should be proud of your continued achievements. You are an inspiration to all of us, and your legacies will benefit the nation for generations to come.
As the Minister for Youth, I'm thrilled to congratulate the 2023 State and Territory Young Australian of the Year finalists. Your perspectives as young Australians on major issues and decisions our country faces are unique. It's invaluable to engage with young people and to hear your innovative ideas. You've each been recognised for the significant contributions and unwavering dedication you have given to your communities, having a real impact on people's lives. These outstanding and inspirational achievements should be celebrated and commended.
Australia's Local Hero Award is a celebration and acknowledgement of those in our communities who reach out a hand to help others. Their selfless actions have a life-changing impact on those around them. Thank you to each of the finalists for being outstanding role models for all of us. Congratulations.
So thanks do go to national sponsors Chevron, Australia Post and the Departments of Health and Aged Care, Education and Home Affairs. And we also thank our broadcast partner, the ABC and ABC iView, which connects us with communities all around Australia on TV, radio and online.
We'd also like to say a big thank you to our media partner, Australian Community Media, which supports our call for nominations nationwide through their leading rural and regional news brands. Thanks to alumni partner, the International Day of People with a Disability, which is marked on the 3rd of December each year.
We also thank our official hotel partner, the Crown Plaza in Canberra. We appreciate your warm hospitality for our recipients, especially in January. We'd also like to thank cultural partner, the Australian National University, which supports us through its School of Art for the trophies and School of Music for our announcement anthem and events in January.
Thanks also go to our exhibition partner, the National Museum of Australia, which delivers the Australian of the Year exhibition around the country throughout the year. And last but certainly not least, we appreciate the continued support of legal partner Minter Ellison.
So please join us, I should say, in thanking these partners for their vital and ongoing support. Congratulations once again to all of our recipients. We will need to take some photos with you, so please don't stray too far. On behalf of the Australia Day Council of South Australia, we wish our finalists every success in their future endeavours. To our recipients, we can't wait to share this next incredible journey with you.
And don't forget to tune in for the National Awards on January 25 to see who will be named the next Australian of the Year. We encourage you all to think about people who inspire you in your communities, networks and families. You can nominate someone now for the 2024 Australian of the Year Awards at australianoftheyear.org.au.
Well, that brings us to the end of the formal proceedings. We invite you all to those stay. Please network, enjoy the back of the room and the hospitality of the Adelaide Convention Centre.
So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Australia Day Council of South Australia, thank you and have a great evening.